Well, listen, if you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
Well, here's the deal. When you have nothing meaningful to contribute, you just ramble endlessly. It's a nonstop, never-ending stream of words. The voters don't back the vile women on The View. They're completely disconnected from the vast majority of Americans. Honestly, they should consider getting their message from independent media. Whoopi Goldberg ruled over The View for years, sitting at the top like royalty, cutting off guests, bulldozing opposing views, and presenting her opinions as undeniable truths. But in one jaw-dropping moment, her tight grip on daytime TV unraveled before our eyes, and it was all thanks to Karoline Leavitt. Nobody saw it coming. The episode kicked off just like any other. Smug laughs, eye rolls, and the typical panel of heads nodding in perfect harmony with the show's left-leaning agenda.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whoopi, as self-assured as ever, settled back, ready to take control of yet another conversation. Then, the topic of wokeness came up. A term that The View practically reveres, a concept they defend like it's the foundation of their very existence, because honestly, it kind of is. Feeling invincible, Whoopi took the first shot, her trademark smirk making its appearance. She pointed at Karoline and boldly proclaimed, "Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job." And just like that, bam, the whole vibe in the room changed instantly. The audience tensed up. Even Joy Behar, who built an entire career on mocking conservatives, shifted uncomfortably in her chair.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good.
What Whoopi says next is exactly what you'd expect. Predictable and irritating. After all these years as a host, you'd think she'd have a bit more creativity in her banter. But nope, here we are. Let's see what she's got for us this time.
In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably biased and they're prejudiced against me.
Whoopi wasn't laughing anymore. The smug confidence that had carried her through years of unchecked dominance on The View wavered just for a second. The audience, still clapping moments ago, now sat in uneasy silence as Karoline laid out her case with precision and poise. This wasn't just another conservative guest stumbling through talking points while the hosts rolled their eyes. This was a complete dismantling of The View's ideological bubble, and Whoopi knew it. Karoline didn't raise her voice. She didn't resort to personal attacks. Instead, she let the facts do the work. She exposed the absurdity of government-funded social experiments and the way wokeness had been hijacked as a tool for political control. The crowd, conditioned to cheer on The View's predictable narratives, now faced something different. An argument so well constructed that it couldn't be dismissed with a joke or an exaggerated eye roll. Whoopi, always quick with a retort, found herself momentarily speechless. She fumbled, searching for a way to claw back control of the conversation, but it was too late. Karoline had done what few had before. She had completely flipped the script. Interview. Exactly. Instead of engaging in a meaningful discussion, the hosts defaulted to their usual tactics, mockery and dismissiveness. But Karoline wasn't rattled. She stood her ground with the kind of composure and intelligence that completely disrupted The View's usual rhythm. And here's where it gets even better. She didn't just defend herself, she turned the tables, exposing the hypocrisy of the hosts who claimed to champion women's empowerment, yet had no issue tearing her down simply because she didn't align with their ideology. The tension in the room was undeniable. Whoopi tried to recover, but the damage was done. Karoline wasn't just holding her own, she was dominating the conversation, and the audience could feel it. The usual smug confidence of the View panel was cracking, and for once, they were the ones scrambling for a response.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world.
Was a moment no one expected. A complete and undeniable shift in power. Whoopi, the queen of shutting down opposing voices, found herself with nothing to say. And the longer the silence stretched, the worse it got. Karoline didn't need to gloat or press further. Her composure had already spoken volumes. She had exposed the hypocrisy of The View in real time, leaving Whoopi scrambling for a response that simply wouldn't come. The audience, so used to cheering on the hosts, hesitated, unsure whether to back Whoopi or acknowledge the uncomfortable truth unfolding before them. And that's the irony. The View claims to champion strong, independent women, yet when faced with one who didn't fit their mold, they resorted to mockery instead of debate. But this time, it backfired spectacularly. The show's credibility took a massive hit, and Whoopi Goldberg, for the first time in years, had to face the consequences of her own tactics.
We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
Exactly. It's frustrating to watch someone with such a massive platform resort to condescending dismissals instead of engaging in actual debate. When faced with solid facts, she defaulted to mockery, because that's all she had left. The fact that she still holds such influence despite this pattern is baffling. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's the show's built-in audience, but at some point, people have to question whether The View is actually providing meaningful discussion or just pushing narratives without accountability. If Whoopi can't handle real debate, should she really still be in that seat? That's when things really started unraveling. The lawsuit didn't just put The View in legal jeopardy, it exposed a troubling pattern of reckless commentary with real consequences. ABC had already been under fire for Whoopi's past scandals, but this wave of lawsuits turned the heat up to unbearable levels. Carrie Underwood's case was a turning point. Instead of just brushing off the attacks, she fought back with a billion-dollar lawsuit, forcing The View to answer for its unchecked rhetoric. And when that case hit the courts, it unearthed something even more damaging, something even Whoopi wasn't prepared to face. What came next? A scandal so big that even ABC had to start asking, is Whoopi Goldberg worth the cost? Interview. Absolutely. Watching someone challenge The View's usual scripted narrative with hard facts instead of empty rhetoric is a rare moment of accountability. It's a reminder that real debate isn't about silencing opposition, it's about standing firm with truth. And when the usual voices start to crack under the weight of their own contradictions, it only makes that victory even more satisfying. She seems to be coasting on past achievements rather than contributing anything of real substance. While The View was once a platform for engaging discussions, Whoopi's role has shifted into one of predictable outrage and controversy. At this point, her presence feels more like a relic of the show's past, rather than a valuable voice in meaningful debate.
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Right.
That's what you hear.
Yeah.
When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say.
The once glamorous reputation of The View is now marred by a series of high-profile scandals and legal battles that have eroded its credibility and influence. ABC's decision to target Carrie Underwood was a clear example of how far the show's executives were willing to go to fuel outrage for the sake of ratings, and the subsequent fallout from Musk's lawsuit only deepened the network's crisis. As advertisers backed out and lawsuits piled up, it became clear the show's notoriety had begun to outshine its value. Now ABC is faced with the harsh reality that what was once their flagship show might no longer be worth the investment or the risk.
They talk at you, not to you, and that's what she was doing, and she was doing it, and it's not new.
No.
But everybody's hip to you all now.
Yeah.
And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
Absolutely, Karoline is shining in this scenario. While Whoopi and the others try to deflect and spin their narratives, Karoline is firmly grounded in facts, challenging the system and exposing the flaws in their arguments. It's rare to see someone stand so resolutely, refusing to be intimidated by the established figures in the media. Her approach not only confronts the issue head-on, but also calls for accountability, making her a powerful voice in the conversation. The end of Whoopi's reign on The View marks a turning point for the show, and it'll be interesting to see how ABC handles the fallout. With her departure, the network has a chance to reset and reevaluate the direction of the show. Do they bring in a new voice to shake things up, or try to return to the old formula with a new face? Either way, this could signal a major shift in daytime TV, especially with the growing scrutiny on media responsibility. It's definitely a moment of reckoning for both The View and ABC.